This is the one it should have linked to. And then this one had pre-security and intro, which I've done both of these today. They're like pretty noddy, to be honest. You could do them within a couple hours. And then yeah, just sort of this one I'd already done because we'd done it throughout some of the other sessions, just doing the easy rooms. This was again fairly easy. This one we did with the badge.
Is really good. The red team path is the one I was saying, it's super theory intensive.
Okay. So yeah, we've done basically all the intro stuff apart from Burp Suite, and these first two we've done on previous streams. And then because I wasn't a sub until recently, then we can now do these ones. So I thought we'd kick it off and do Intruder, and then we'll do the other modules and Extender today. So let's just open those rooms and then kick it off. Also, I downloaded the update for my Burp Suite, so you can do that later. Yeah, no, I wanted to do these, but I couldn't actually finish them before until I got subscribed, and then thanks to Gar, let's give him a shout out.
We'll need a lot of time now.
No, Gar _7? Yeah, there we go.
We're Sublime. New Boom Boom 0x. Base. Okay. Import OS system ls. Let's try that. We'll change spaces to \x. Let's see if that works. I doubt it's gonna work though. So we'll run it.
So yeah, Gar gifted us a 6-month sub, so I'm using it to get this lab done. So what we've got to do, I don't know if this is going to have downloaded stuff. Did I do one for the last one?
Herder of Cats says,
I think I did.
Yes, I also have a 6-month THM voucher from Gar.
Oh, cool. Yeah, dude's super generous. I'm actually going to do my own giveaways at some point. I want to come up with some decent way of distributing it. I don't just want to do marbles and copy. Yeah, I'll come up with some other thing. And then yeah, I'll start doing my own. So let's start the machine. Burp Suite. I've downloaded the new version of this, but it's going to be quite boring to stream me updating Burp, so we'll just carry on with the current one. How's everyone's days been anyway? Have you learned anything new? Have you gone to work? Have you relaxed?
I am aiming for the 180 days badge, and I want to be able to do medium boxes on my own. Until now I'm doing them like 80% by myself, but I still need help and guidance from the write-ups cause I get completely stuck.
Fair enough. That's a good. I recently hit the 180.
says,
Hello.
Hey, Jessio. I've got a secret for the 180. So, if you look at, let me open a new room. Tutorial.
Herder of Cats says,
Hey, at Jassiopolsk4.
Hey, Oreo.
Zero Riobite says,
Well, hacker.
So if you want some help getting to 180, just remember that the tool curl exists, and then if you try and catch I can probably demo it here actually.
Jassiopulsk4 says,
Adjust Iggy 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 high.
Herder of Cats says,
Hey, it's Zero Riabai, cool face.
Ted_918 says,
I gave up getting streaks on THM.
JP!
Jadiers11 says,
What the fuck is up?
The fuck is up?
Says,
We are.
Adjust Iggy 1 2 3
Just-
4 5 6 7. Hey, what's going on?
Let's give JP a shout.
Jadiers11 says,
I'm stuck FDW.
Right now, obviously, I want you guys here, but
Hey, it's
diversify your bonds. Thank you for following. Benjamining. Thank you for following. PyGhost64. Thank you for following. Addy441. 4441. Thank you for following. Cocoon Kid. Thank you for following. DXDnock. Thank you for following. Fatal Pride. Thank you for following. Kasianu. Thank you for following. Elliot. Posture check. This is the
Thank you for following. So yeah, if you want to hit 180 really easy,
At Zero Riabai,
This
I'm
room's
just
the
hanging
best.
around here learning together with it and sec new things.
Jassiopulsk4 says,
Hey, Adsbeers 11.
right, let's just pause TTS for a sec. So as you get 180, this room, the tutorial room, because you can reset it, and there's only one flag in here. So what I've done some days, if I can't be asked to do anything, but I just want to maintain my streak, reset this room, and then just replay this flag. So like, so you can literally just copy the one that you've already put in. So you'll see it reset. And then you just put it in, submit it, and then that one act counts as a streak submission. So then all you need to do is, if you've got curl, you can submit one curl request to reset the room and another curl request to submit the flag, and then you just do those two curl requests every like 4 hours, and then you guarantee basically that as long as your computer's up and running that day, that your streak will be maintained. So yeah, good little hack. Alright, let's put TTS back on, because otherwise I won't keep up with chat. But yeah, how's everyone doing?
Jadiers11 says,
Holy shit. Nice.
Eurizalux says,
Aloha's hardcore gang.
Zero Realbyte says,
I'm stuck 4-hour cron tab on my web server. Anyone?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right, so task 1, room outline. In the previous rooms,
Jassiopulsk4 says,
we have covered.
Adsbeers 11. It's hard to
Yes,
watch
I'm
me
gonna-
play and based in Europe.
Getting too many people chatting now.
says,
Don't stop though.
Just
I'm just going to
making the
mute
shit out of the mobile
TTS.
application.
Jassiopulsk4 says,
Different time zone.
It's hard to watch you when I'm based in Europe. Ooh, I'm in Europe, so there's that. So yeah, the previous room in the module we did already. We covered Burp Proxy and Burp Repeater. If you haven't completed these rooms, you're not familiar with aspects of the framework, you're advised to complete these. This room will be covered the third of Burp Suite's primary modules, the Intruder. Intruder allows us to automate requests, which is very useful when fuzzing or brute forcing. We'll be looking at how to use Intruder to perform both of these functions in conjunction with other tools we've already covered. So let's begin. Oh, I already started it, sweet. Okay. If you're not using the attack box, you want to connect to this machine without a VPN, you can do so. Alright, let's paste that. Been known to do 24-hour streams. Where am I from? I'm from the UK. should have Burp Suite there. So, what's the ask? What is Intruder? So Intruder's Burp Suite's built-in fuzzing tool. It allows you to take a request, usually captured in the proxy before being passed to Intruder. We'll use it as a template to send many more requests with slightly altered values automatically. For example, by capturing the request contained in a login attempt, we could then configure Intruder to swap out the username and password fields for values from a word list, effectively allowing us to brute force the login form. Similarly, we could pass in a fuzzing word list and use Intruder to fuzz subdirectories, endpoints, virtual hosts. This functionality is very similar to that provided by command line tools such as wfuzz or fuff. In short, as a method for automating requests, Intruder is extremely powerful. There is just one problem. To access this full speed of Intruder, we need Burp Professional. We can still use Intruder with Burp Community, but is heavily rate limited. This speed restriction means that many hackers choose other tools for fuzzing and brute forcing. Limitations aside, Intruder is still very useful, so it's well worth learning to use it properly. So let's look at the interface. Let's look at mine as well. It's good to use for chill out when I avoid burnout. Took 3-day pause from Try Hack Me. I was overworked, pushed myself hard. Literally stuck to daily programming for. We do bug bounty. Yeah, what's your latest bug bounty, Beers? Going back to Etsy sometimes. I want you to. Well, actually, no, they've released my payment now. My shop had like some restriction on it because if you create a brand new account, they only let you pull your money out after 45 days of the payment arriving. Yeah, so like you'd be paid, then you have to wait like 3 to 4 days for that payment to come from the customer into the account. Then they take all their fees out, and then whatever's left, you just got to watch it and just living in your wallet until like 45 days had passed. It's like, just give me money. Yeah, that's gone now because I've had my account long enough. But just utter bullshit. US government. Shit. Right, so we're looking at the Intruder interface. The first view we have is relatively sparse. Allows us to choose our target, assuming if we sent a request from it in the proxy. Using Control-I or right-clicking the selected Send to Intruder, this should already be populated for us. There are 4 other Intruder sub-tabs. Turn the music down a bit. Okay. Cool, so this is what it normally looks like. We have positions, allows us to select an attack type. We'll cover these in an upcoming task. As well as configure where the request template we wish to insert our payload. Payloads allows us to select values to insert into each position that we defined in the previous tab. For example, we may choose to load items from a word list to serve as a payload. How these get inserted into the template depends on the attack type we choose in the Positions tab. There are many payload types to choose from. Anything from a simple word list to regex is based on responses. The Payload sub-tab also allows us to alter the intruder's behavior with regards to payload. For example, we can define pre-processing rules to apply to each payload, add a prefix or suffix, match and replace, or skip if the payload matches the defined regex. Right, resource pool. Not particularly useful for us in Burp Community. It allows us to divide our resources between tasks. Burp Pro would allow us to run various types of automated tasks in the background, which is where we may wish to manually allocate our memory processing power between these automated tasks. and Intruder. Without access to these automated tasks, there's little point in using this, so we won't devote much time to it. And then we've got options as well. So, as with the other Burp tools, Intruder allows us to configure our behavior in the Options tab. Settings here primarily affect how Burp handles results and how Burp handles the attack itself. For example, if we choose to flag requests that contain specific pieces of text or define how Burp responds to the redirect responses. We'll take a look at some of these tabs in the upcoming tasks. For now, just know that what things are in what interface. Fuzzing is when we take a set of data and apply it to a parameter and test for functionality to see where something exists. For example, you may choose to fuzz for endpoints in a web application. This would involve taking each word in a word list, adding it to the end of the request and see how the web server responds. Or you just open up its Swagger documentation page. Or find it on GitHub. Which section of the options subtask allows you to control what information will be captured in the Intruder results? What one do we want here? We probably want attack results. In which Intruder subtab can we define an attack type? That's the positions one, isn't it? Position. Or position. Should be positions, but it accepts that. Cool. Why did you have to wait 45 days to get your money? Oh, it's just like a limit that Etsy set on new accounts to stop fraud, essentially. But yeah, it's literally I made a shop for selling some chili peppers, and then because it was literally a day old, they put the block on there. You can't smell your nipples because your nose can't get close enough. If you can smell your nipples, please shout. Okay, good to know. Economics class sucks. Yeah, dude, yes, Burp Suite. I was just balls deep in Burp yesterday. I don't really use it that much. Right. Okay. Right. So positions. We're in the tab. Yep. So when we're looking to perform an attack with Intruder, the first thing we need to do is look at positions. Positions tell Intruder where to insert payloads, which we'll look up in an upcoming task. Let's switch over to the Positions sub-tab. Notice that Burp will attempt to determine the most likely places which we may wish to insert a payload automatically. These are highlighted in green, surrounded by silk rows. On the right-hand side of the interface, we'll have buttons labelled Add, Clear, Auto. Add lets us define new positions by highlighting them in the editor. Clear removes all positions, leaving a blank canvas. Auto attempts to select the most likely positions. This is useful if we've already cleared the default and want them back. Here's a GIF demonstrating the process. Have a play around with position selector. Make sure you're comfortable. Yeah, okay. Clear all the positions. Yeah, okay. I know how to do this stuff. Select the value of the host header and add it as a position. Guess I'm supposed to be going to that. Let's proxy. So we want support login. So let's action, move it to Intruder. Position, get rid of that first one. So we've got nothing. Actually, it's using the domain. We want the IP. Assuming that also works. Oh yeah, it's a B proxied on it. So forward. So how to connect to it. Okay. So we want support. So not have a login on this one. Do you have a good dictionary for subdomain enumeration? Use subfinder send sys asset finder subs for enumerating what type of syntax you want for subdomains, then fuzz with asset names. 2 million subdomain list. Nice. There we go, post the link to that if anyone wants it. I don't know why there isn't an extension to Burp that just runs Fuff, because then the community editions could use the Intruder. Like, alright, so change the host, and we need to just action, send to intruder, intruder, position. You just chuck that in. Clear the position, click auto again. Does jack shit. Did you guys hear about what web? What about what web? Right, so that's doing jack shit, so let's just clear that. Intro. So starting attack type. So you switch back to positions. You have 4 types of attack available: sniper, battering ram, pitchfork, and cluster bomb. Okay. Why didn't that go complete? There we go. Sniper is the first, most common attack type. When conducting a sniper attack, we provide one set of payloads. For example, this could be a single file containing a word list or a range of numbers. From here on out, we'll refer to a list of items to be slotted into requests using the Burp Suite terminology of a payload set. Intruder will take each payload in a payload set and put it into each defined position in turn. So if you take a look at the example, we've got pen tester and exploited, 2 positions, body parameters. In a targeted attack, Intruder will take each position and substitute the payload in turn. For example, let's assume we have a word list with 3 words in it: Burp, Suite, and Intruder. With the 2 positions that we have, Intruder would use these words to make 6 requests. So it changes the first 3, leaves that as it is, then leaves those as it is and replaces those. Notice that Intruder starts with the first position username and tries each payload, then moves to the second. We can calculate the number of requests as it is. The request equals number of words times positions. If you're using Sniper to fuzz 3 parameters in a request, the word list containing 100 words, how many would be needed to be sent to complete the attack? 300. This is Sparta! How many sets of payloads will Sniper accept for conducting an attack? How many will it accept? One. Yeah, cool. There's literally no other option. Right. Hey, mainly mental. Yeah, we're doing Burp. We're doing the Intruder room. Copy it in. This is a sub-only room though, so if you're not subbed, you won't be able to do it. Burp Suite, if you updated it, it tells you what attack mode does Sniper Cluster Bomb. Ah. Mine's not the latest one though, so I've literally downloaded the latest one just before stream. So yeah, we might get that next time. Where's Chris Pratt at? I've turned all the deepfake stuff off. It stopped working the other day. I need to sort it out and fix it, and then you can have the redemptions again. So Sniper is good for attacks where we are only attacking a single parameter, A or nay. A. Alright, next. It's fairly obvious, the Sniper one, battering ram. Like Sniper, battering ram takes one set of payloads, but unlike Sniper, it puts the same payload in every position rather than each position in turn. So we take the same word list and then we give it Burp, sweet, Intruder. What use is that actually? Like, when you choose from attack type, the drop down you have the definition there. Ah, what here? Like it will say a bit more about what it does. That's quite good. So, as a hypothetical question, you need to perform a battering ram intruder attack on example request above. If you have the word list with 2 words in it, admin and guest, and the position in the request template looks like this, what would the body parameters of the first request that Burp Suite sends be? It's going to want it like without those things, isn't it? So, cool. Okay, that's fairly obvious. Pitchfork. 2 down, 2 more to go. So after Sniper, Pitchfork is the attack type that you are most likely to use. It may help you to think of Pitchfork as being like having numerous snipers running simultaneously, where Sniper uses 1 payload set, which uses every position. Pitchfork uses 1 payload set per position, up to a maximum of 20, iterates through them all at once. This type of attack can take a little time to get your head around, so let's use our brute force example from before. This time we need 2 word lists. And then the first word list will be usernames. It contains Joel, Harriet and Alex. The next, let's say that Joel, Harriet and Alex had their passwords leaked, so we know that Joel's password is J03L, Harriet's password is Emma1815 and Alex's password is Skill. We can take these 2 lists to perform a Pitchfork attack on the login. The process for carrying out this attack will not be covered in the task, but you'll get plenty of opportunities to perform it later. When using Intruder in Pitchfork mode, the request made will look something like this. Pitchfork takes the first item from each of the lists and puts them in the request. 1 per position, then repeats it for the next request. This is only useful though, like as a password example, if those passwords are in the right order, so not entirely sure what the point of that is. Ideally our payload set should be identical when working as in Pitchfork. Intruder will stop testing as soon as one of the lists is complete. For example, we have 2 lists, one with 100 lines and one with 90 lines. Intruder will only make 90 requests, the final 10 will not get tested. The attack type is exceptionally useful when forming things like credential stuffing attacks. We've just encountered a small-scale version of this. We'll be looking at more of these in the room. What is the maximum number of payloads that we can load with Pitchfork? There's 20. So, Cluster Bomb. Finally, we come to the last of the attack types, Cluster Bomb. Like Pitchfork, Cluster Bomb allows us to choose multiple payloads, one per position, up to 20. However, whilst Pitchfork iterates through each payload simultaneously, Cluster Bomb iterates through each payload individually, making sure that every possible combination is tested. Again, the best way to visualize this is with an example. So then, okay, yes, this does what you would have thought it did, so it literally does all the things. Cool. So let's assume that we don't know which password belongs to the user. We have 3 users, 3 passwords. We don't know how to match them up. In this case, we use a cluster bomb. It tries every combination. Cluster bomb will iterate through every combination of the payload, ensuring that it has every possibility tested. The attack type will create a huge amount of traffic equal to the number of lines in each payload set, so be careful. Equally, when using Burp Community, its intruder rate limiting, be aware that the cluster bomb will, with any moderately sized payload, would take a long time. That said, this is another extremely useful attack type of any kind of credential brute forcing where a username isn't known. We have 3 payload sets. The first set, 100 lines, the second, 2 lines, the third, 30 lines. How many intruder requests will be made? So it'll be 200, 3,000, 6,000. Quick maths. And then that was a lot of theory. Don't use Burp. What program do you stare at most? But I don't do much pen testing, so it's not like my everyday thing. So when I say I don't use Burp, it's just because the only opportunity I get is during like a challenge or an attack room. And even then, I just don't tend to use it. Like, I don't do that many web penetrations. Zap. Do I do mostly? No, I'm blue team, all blue. So I do mostly like risk management and just stuff like that. Lots of like education awareness stuff.
Thank you for the follow.
The Lambda. Lambda even, not Lambda. Thank you for that follow. Oh, you're mostly staring at docx files and writing policies. No, not that bad, thank Christ. Yeah, I mostly just sort of, I don't know, I make lots of presentations and like talk through exploits and pen test, like the general threats. So I like explain the cause to people, kind of aid on that side of things. Right, what are we doing? Payloads. So, task 9. This was a lot of theory. Kudos to you for reading through it. There'll be plenty of practicals in the upcoming task. The first, it is imperative that we understand how to create, assign, and use payloads. Switch over to payload subtask. It's split into 4 sections. Payloads set section allows us to choose which position we want to configure a set for, as well as the type of payload that you'd like to use. When we use an attack type that only allows for a single payload set, the drop-down menu for payload set will only have one option, regardless of how many. Oh yeah, we found that out already. So basically, this only has one option if you've got that set. So if we pick Pitchfork or Cluster Bomb, then we get one option still. Is that right? How does that work? Let's just see if it needs more than 2 in there. Yeah, there we go. So if you define 2 instances and you get more payload sets. There we go. Cool. So if we are using an attack type that uses multiple payload sets, then there'll be 1 item for each position. Multiple positions should be read from top to bottom and then left to right when being assigned numbers. For example, with 2 positions, username, password, the first item in the payload set dropdown would refer to the username field, the second would refer to the password field. The second dropdown in this section allows us to select a payload type. By default, this is a simple list, which, as the name suggests, would allow us to load in a word list to use. There are many other payload types available. Some common ones include recursive grep, numbers, and username generator. It's well worth perusing this list to get a feel of the wide range of options available. I don't mind Zap, but again, I've not really used it in anger, so... The one benefit of Zap, though, is it is free, so it's like you can't complain too much, right? And if you are complaining about it, then you need to submit a PR and update it. Get it put into the application. Right, payload options differ. The payload options differ depending on the payload type that we select for the current payload set. For example, a simple list payload type will give us a box to add and remove payloads to and from the set. We can do this manually using the add text box and paste in lines of paste or load from a file. The remove button currently removes the currently selected line only. The clear button clears the whole list, but be warned, loading extremely large lists can cause Burp to crash. By contrast, the options for a numbers payload type allows us to change options such as a range of numbers used and the base that we're working with. Payload processing allows us to define rules to be applied to each payload in the set. Should probably find out where this was. There it is, so this section. This allows us to define the rules applied to each payload in the set before being sent to the target. For example, we can capitalize every word, skip the payload if it matches a regex. You may not use this section particularly regularly, but you'll definitely appreciate it when you need it. Finally, we have the Payload Encoding section. This section allows us to override the default URL encoding option that is applied automatically to allow for the safe transmission of our payload. Sometimes it can be beneficial to not URL encode these unsafe characters, which is where this section comes in. We can either adjust the list of characters to be encoded or outright uncheck the URL encode these characters checkbox. When combined, these sections allow us to perfectly tailor our payload set for any attack that we wish to carry out. So which payload type lets us load a list of words into a payload set? That was a simple list. Which payload processing rule could we use to add characters at the end of every payload? I can't remember what the thing was. Let's have a look if we can find it. To add characters at the end of each payload. Let's add suffix. Okay. I tried loading a 15 gig list into Burp and it crashed. That's like it's loading it into memory, right? So if you had enough RAM, would it have died or? Zap works with hackers, takes sure that the list of attacks is updated and users easier. They've added much things, and I love the crawler. Right, let's do some practicals. So I do need a RAM, so let's do make the which one's this? Burp, sweet intruder. Not intruder, intruder. Oh, no, don't cancel it. I've had Burp crash after scanning an application subdomains for 2 weeks. Ooh, shit. Actually livid. I mean, it didn't really crash, it just stalled, and I bet it would have come back to life if I waited long enough, but I didn't feel like it. I've had like wireless, like handshakes that you captured, trying to brute force those, and then it succeeded after like a week of solid cracking, and then it succeeded but on the wrong fucking password, so I had to redo it all from the scratch. Like, so pissed right off. So, oh yeah, this is the right password for sure, and it wasn't at all, unless they changed it. Right, so we've got our tasks. Let's try to access the support portal, support/login. Did I close it? No, it's in the... There we go. So Burp should have that. Let's get rid of that intruder. Let's do another proxy. So we've got... Let's just drop everything and then get a fresh one. So we get that. Right, so user pass. Guessing it's going to want me to intrude into that one. So let's see if I'm right. This is a fairly typical login portal. Looking for the source code of the form, we can see there is no protective measures in place. The lack of protective measures means that we could very easily attack this form using a cluster bomb attack to brute force. I'm guessing by protective measures they just mean like captures and stuff. It's like Csrf tokens or what have you. So we could brute force it, but there's a much easier option attached to the task and available using Bastion creds, eh? Alright. Just done with that. Unzip. There we go. Bastion creds. So we've got some credentials. Attached to the task and available here for the sake of anyone using the attack box, it is a list of leaked credentials for the Bastion hosting employees. Bastion hosting was hit with a cyber attack 3 months ago. The attack resulted in all their employees' usernames, emails, plaintext passwords being leaked. Employees were told to change their password, however maybe 1 or 2 of them didn't listen. Yeah, sounds very accurate. Then we have a list of known usernames, each associated with a password. We can avoid a straight brute force and instead use credential stuffing. This will be blessedly be much quicker than using rate limiting version of Intruder. So we download and unzip the Bastion host. Doesn't matter whether you do this by clicking down a link. Okay. We've got our full word list. These contain leaked emails, username, passwords respectively. The last list contains combined email and password. We will be using the usernames and the password list. Navigate to login, activate Burp proxy and try to catch the request in your proxy. Yeah. Send the request from proxy to intruder by right clicking and selecting send to intruder by using the Control I. Looking at the position subtask, we'll see that the auto selection should have chosen username and password parameter. So that we don't need to do anything else in terms of defining our position. If you've already visited other pages on the site, you may have a session cookie. If so, this will be selected. Make sure to clear the position, select only username and password. We also need to change the attack type to Pitchfork, so let's do that. Pitchfork. It picked the things right though, so that's good. So we've done that, and then switch over to payloads. We've got 1 and 2. Although these aren't named, we know the fact that the username field is the left of the password field, so that's our first position. So reload. I don't want sec list, I want where is it? Home, home, Cali, documents, THM, we want usernames, cool, and then payload 2, we want passwords. Okay, and then we've done that. We've done all that we need to do for this simple attack. Go ahead and click Start Attack. Off she goes. This will take a few minutes to complete in Burp community, hence the relatively small list in use. Once the attack is completed, we'll be presented with a new window giving us the results, but we have a new problem. Burp sent 100 requests. How are we supposed to know which ones, if any, are valid? The most common solution to this problem is to use the status code of the response to differentiate between a successful or an unsuccessful login, but this only works if there is a difference in the status codes. Ideally, successful login request would give us a 200 response, failed login would give us 401. However, in many cases, this one included, we're just given a 302 redirect for all requests instead. So this solution is out. The next most common solution would be to use the length of response to identify the difference between them. For example, a successful login may have a response of 400, whereas unsuccessful may have 600 bytes. We can sort by byte length by clicking on the header for length column. Once we've sorted our results, one request should stand out as being different. As you may have guessed, the request for the shorter response length was made using valid credentials. In fact, we can confirm by attempting to log in with the credentials used in the successful request. Note that these are selected randomly from the list at machine boot, so they will be different every time you deploy a new instance to the machine. Well done if you've successfully brute forced the login. Right, so I won't click that until we've actually done it. Oh, we've got one success already there. So if we go, where's my Chrome? I'll do this in the non-Burp browser so we can just do it. So it'd be m.rivera. Hey. Cool. So we got in. Challenge. In the previous task we gained access to the support system, now it's time to see what we can do with it. The home interface shows a table of tickets. If we click on any of the rows in the table, we get redirected to a page where we can view the full ticket. Looking at the URL, we can see that the pages are numbered. What does this mean? The numbering means that we know the tickets aren't being identified by a hard-to-guess ID, they're simply assigned an integer number. What happens if we use Intruder to fuzz support ticket number endpoint? One of two things will happen. The endpoint has been set up correctly only to allow us to view the tickets that are assigned to our current user, or the endpoint has not been given correct access control, which will allow us to read all the existing tickets. In this case, then we have a vulnerability called an IDOR, an insecure direct object reference. So let's start fuzzing this endpoint. 94 days to Christmas. Oh, why would you say that? My wallet's already empty. Pope, Jan, Powell, Death Hour, just saying. Cool, so is this done yet? No, we've got 6 more. God, this is really slow, isn't it? The bloody, community version. Halloween is here! You got next month. Are you going to do a spooky stream, James? Do a bug bounty dressed as a bug. A spider. Right, cool. So we are done. We got the right one. Discard. Right, so what attack type is best suited for this task? Number... No shit, sniper. Configure an appropriate position in payload. Okay, so we need to actually click on these, so let's get rid of you. Let's go back to my one here, and then we need m.vera in one. Don't close it, you'll open Burp again each time until you finish. Oh, I didn't close Burp, I just closed the results because I knew which one had succeeded. So now we've got this one, so we click on that. So we should have an endpoint. Go away, go away. Maybe it's not this one. Yeah, maybe it is. You recommend Portswigger Academy for pen testing training? Yeah, I've seen Gar do a few Portswigger ones. I haven't even looked at any of them yet, so it's definitely on the to-do. Close Burp entirely. Had to reopen it again and again. No. So here we go. So we can just do that. So let's send you to Intruder. Intruder gets this one. We don't care about session, we care about that. So we can clear the session. Don't be like me, be better. Alright, so configure an appropriate position. So we got ticket 6. The tickets are stored at values between 1 and 100, then start the attack. So we need payload numbers from 1 to 100. You should find 5 tickets that will return with the status code 200, indicating that they exist. Invalid number setting. Oh, step 1. There we go, so it's going to tick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this time we can do the status trick. Yay, school is done. How much longer have you got on your uni, James? I do miss uni. It was good fun. Two years, oof. Is yours 4-year course or 3? Mine was technically 3, but we did 4 because it was a sandwich placement year in the 3rd year. They haven't even taught me that stuff that you've self-learned. I remember blowing my who was it? We had some guy teaching us cybersecurity, and I blew his brains out because I knew the MySQL port number by heart. It's like 3306. How do you know that? Because I've run a fucking MySQL server. It's not rocket science. Yeah, you type that port number in enough times, it just stays in there. It's not going anywhere. So we got 3 results back. Yeah, 4-year bachelor's degree. Cool. Yeah, mine. My first year was when I went to uni, I went specifically to do a forensics course, and then the first year of that ended up being just a generic computing degree, and then the second and third year you had to pick like what actual outcome you wanted. So if you joined any of the computing courses, if you then wanted to do software engineering or like IT management or like any of the random ones, you could basically pick it from the second year onwards. So I jumped from the forensics course that I ended up doing, which we didn't do any forensics in that first year, but the second, third year guys, they carried on doing it. I switched to software engineering, so my actual degree title is in software engineering, but the my friends that stayed in the forensics groups, I used to just go to those lessons anyway. So I learned everything they learned, just didn't do that degree. I did this software engineering degree. But yeah, it's quite funny. Like, just getting free education by just turning up to additional lessons and like lectures. I walked into one room that was completely the wrong room, and they were doing a biology lesson. I'll just let you imagine what was on the screen. It was very big. You can. So we got. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we got our 5 now, even though it's not finished. So let's say that. Use the response request manually in your browser. This ticket should contain the flag. What's the chances that we get the right one first time? So we should have ticket. Let's pick one at random. 78. No. 83, is it the last one? Yeah. You don't need to wait until it finishes. Yeah. You just... It was the last one in the option anyway. Cool, so next, what have we got now? Csrf token bypass. Let's crank it up a notch with the extra mile exercise. This challenge will be slightly harder variant of the credential stuffing that we carried out a few tasks ago. Only this time there'll be measures in place to make sure that brute forcing is harder. If you are comfortable using Burp macros, feel free to do this challenge blind, otherwise read on. Let's start by catching a request to admin login. So you can go away. Let's get rid of my attack. And we can get rid of those intruders. So we're going to admin login. I'll just set this up again, so user pass. We'll send it to intruder. That's what she said. My government site was hacked today by Indonesians. Ooh. That Uber hack was quite interesting. I like that. Like some of the write-ups on that have been quite eye-opening. Like just gain access to a password manager and you're in. Right, so we caught the request after reviewing the response. We've got a session key. There's a hidden login token that we need to mess with. So we have the same username and password fields as before, but now there's also a session cookie set in response as well as the Csrf. The token is included in the form as a hidden field. If we refresh the page, we should see that both these change with each request. This means we need to extract valid values for every time we make a request. In other words, every time we log in, we will still need unique values for the session cookie and login token. No, sorry. Every time that we attempt to log in, we need unique values for the session cookie and login. So these are changing based on how we're accessing the website, and then these are going to be based on our word lists. But yeah, this we actually need to capture from the web request. So this is where we enter macros. In many cases, we could do this kind of thing using a payload called a recursive grep, which would be a lot easier than what we're going to have to do here. Unfortunately, the web app redirects us back to the login page rather than simply showing us both of our target parameters. We'll need to do this the hard way. Specifically, we will have to define a macro, a short set of repeated actions to be executed before every request. This will grab a unique session cookie and matching login token, then substitute them in the next request for our attack. Before we get into the tricky stuff, let's deal with what we know, so navigate to that. Activate Burp proxy, attempt to log in, capture the request, done. So we are already ahead. Configure the position in the same way as we did for brute forcing and support login. Select the type Pitchfork. Clear all the predefined positions, selecting only username and password. So cool. The other two positions will be handled by our macro. So now switch to the Payloads tab and load in the same username and password. So we need load username, load password. Cool, and then up until this point we've configured Intruder in almost the same way as our previous credential stuffing. This is where things get more complicated. With the username and password parameters handled, we now need a way to grab the ever-changing login token and session cookie. Unfortunately, recursive grep won't work here due to the redirect, so we can't do this entirely within Intruder. We need to build a macro. Macros allow us to perform the same set of actions repeatedly in each case. In this case, we want to simply get a GET request to admin login. Fortunately, setting this up is very easy. Switch over to the Project Options tab. So that one. We got another one. Project Options. There we go. Project Options. Select Sessions. I'm not seeing that. Project Options. There we go. Oh, no, there we go. A completely different bloody tab altogether. So scroll down to the bottom of the sub-tab to macros. There we go. Yeah, so project options, sessions, macros. So then we add a macro. The menu that appears will show us our request history. There isn't a GET request to admin login. Navigate to this location, you should see its suitable request. So we want admin login. We want that one. Cool, so we see that with that request selected, click OK. Finally give the macro a suitable name and click OK again. So name it there. This is a Csrf session cookie. Okay, so there are a lot of steps here, comparatively speaking, so the GIF shows the whole process. Okay, yeah. Now that we have a macro defined, we need to set up... Not changing anything, I don't know. So we have a macro defined, we need to set up session handling rules that define how the macro should be used. Still in the session subtask, scroll up to session handling rule. Okay, choose add. So we have details and scope. Fill in an appropriate description. Grab Csrf. In the tool scope section, where's this bit? Right here. Deselect every checkbox other than Intruder. In the URL scope, use Suite Scope. This will set the macro to only operate on sites that have been added to the global scope, as discussed in Burp Basics. If you've not set a global scope, keep the Use Custom Scope option and default and add that to the selection. Cool. Again, here's a GIF showing the process. Yeah, that's what I did. So now we need to switch back over to details. This rule contains no actions. Guess that's okay. Alright. Okay, there we go. So rule action. So if we edit again, click on the add button. This will cause a drop down to appear. We want to run a macro. Select the macro that we created earlier. As it stands, the macro will now overwrite all of the parameters in our intruder request before sending them. This is great, as it means that we'll be getting the login token session cookie straight from our request. That said, we should also restrict which parameters and cookies are being updated before we start the attack. So we need to update only the following parameters, and then click on the edit button. So we need to add in login token, update only the following cookie, and then session. Cool, and then OK to confirm. Click OK and we're done. That was a long process. You should now have a macro defined that will substitute in the Csrf token and session cookie. All that's left to do is switch back to Intruder and start the attack. Start attack. You should be getting 302 status code responses for every request in the attack. If you see 403, then your macro isn't working properly. As with the support login credential stuffing, the response codes are all the same. Once again, Order your response by length and find the valid credentials. Your results won't be as clear as cut last time. You'll see a few different response lengths, however the response that indicates successful login should still stand out, despite being significantly shorter. Use the credentials you just found to log in. You may need to refresh the page. Cool. Right, while that's going on, let's check with chat where we at. After the Lee Cooper started looking for security guards. Yeah, because they fired everyone like a bunch of chodes. Little late to be looking for security guys, not just Uber. Uber's the latest one. Attacks occur every day. Companies that don't know that they're being attacked until 12 days later at least, and the report doesn't come out if at all this until a year later someone puts this not on the company. I do wonder if most companies just don't report things that happen. Like, if an attacker's got your stuff and leaks it, then your hand is forced, isn't it? Whereas if they're just trying to ransom you and it's all under wraps, then you can kind of get away with it a bit longer, can't you? Security needs to get better as a whole, including transparency about attacks and breaches and the process in which they work. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, that's why I know it gets a lot of stick, but I quite like the GDPR. Like, I do like that there's a set time limit to reporting these things. It's a bit waffly because it's like you need to report it from when you're aware of it, so you might not become aware of it for months later. But yeah, it's good that they have to inform people. They can't just fucking be quiet. The system we have is disconnected. The system attackers have is interlaced. Let's see if we've got any obvious ones. Oh, there we go. 655. Assuming that's the only one. So we should be able to do O.Bennett. Bella 1. The profits for 2021. No inflation here. Cool, so you've completed the Intruder room. This room looked at how to use Intruder but use the Intruder aspect of the Burp Suite framework when automating requests, so you should now be comfortable using Intruder and its various attack types. When attacking a web application, you should also be comfortable with the concept of using macros to extend the functionality of Burp. The examples given here are only the tip of the iceberg. Intruder can be used anytime you need to automate requests. Your imagination is the limit. In the next room of the module, we'll be looking at some of Burp Suite's lesser known tools. I can use Intruder. Bonus question. Use Intruder to automate the column enumeration of the union sequeli and repeater extra mile exercise. No.
Hello Raiders, welcome to MSEC's Twitch channel.
Hello Cybertech Vibes, thank you for the raid. Let's give you a shout out. How was your stream? What were you up to? You are no longer in control.
Get your task done. Throw the game, buddy. Throw the game.
You're the.
Oh, you know, I gotta just go on ahead and end it now. Go on ahead, huh?
See you later, bullshit.
Let's go! Oh!
Clippy. You gotta clip that one.
Oh my god.
It's very sus. That'd be actually like getting everyone into a massive game of Among Us to do like giveaways would be fantastic. Like instead of doing like marbles, just no, you've all got to jump in sus and be a sneaky bastard. And if you manage to get past that and win the game, then you get a giveaway. Right, Right, let's terminate that room. We're going to switch into... Get rid of that as well.